Media and entertainment sector, Mr. Blaise Fernandes, President and CEO of the Indian Music Industry, IMI.
Thank you, CB. Honorable Minister and ladies and gentlemen, we had a very interesting meeting this morning, and we had Additional Secretary in the room, and we had representatives from the CIM. I think the big takeaway, sir, for us is as a culture rich of storytelling for generations and centuries. Yet our contribution to national GDP is 0.8%. America, Australia, and Japan, which are democracies with rule of law, have a 3 to 4% GDP contribution. And I think that's the aspiration for the industry. That's the roadmap. By 2024, if we can touch this 3%, and it's not very difficult because I think the right, everything's in place. It just needs policy tweaks and some kind of investment decisions that will happen if the policy tweaks come in. And the first request for us, and Secretary has promised us at the MIB to create a nodal agency. Sir, our industry touches a number of areas: TRAI, DPIIT, MIB, Ministry of Culture, and we need Ministry of Law and DOT. We need a nodal agency on a quarterly basis to sit with the stakeholders of the industry. And I think a lot of the bottlenecks there we can find solutions to those problems. We can find a roadmap to all the challenges that we face, and that's the request that we made. And we've got an assurance from the Ministry of INB to they'll try and fast track this in the next 3 months or so, and that's, I think, a good development this morning. So unlocking fair value for stakeholders. At the end of the day, investments will come in, more talent will get created, more ideas will come in if there's free pricing. It was the year 1994 when the multiplex policy of India came in. And the first multiplex was in this city in an area called Saket, where Anupam was retrofitted somewhere around about the year 2000. And the investments came in, sir, because tickets could be priced on laissez-faire policies, demand and supply. Today, the multiplex industry has propelled India to amongst the top 5 admission markets in the world. And the kind of infrastructure that it's created, today the multiplexes are anchor tenants in most malls. Malls run because of the multiplexes. And so that's a classic example. If you have free pricing across the board, without any regulations, more money will come in and the whole ecosystem will be will be energized. And I think the big ask for the industry across the sector is, if there is free pricing, the waterfall goes right down to the creative community, the investors, the producers, the talent, the songwriters, the script writers, and everybody can benefit if this is unlocked. And that's our big ask of unlocking fair value for the stakeholders. As I said, encouraging stakeholders, and if you can ease of doing business under that vector, we can find solutions sitting across the tables. That's the big ask from the industry, both broadcast, production, as well as music. So piracy is a huge challenge for us today. Estimated by CII, 30 to 50,000 crores annually. And it is unabated, and it's going to be even more challenging because today you have the next 400 million people coming on board, consuming content through the smartphone. The first 400 million has been touched, the next 400 million is coming, and these numbers are going to increase. And they are always 2 or 3 steps ahead of us, not 1 step, 2 steps. And there are certain great case studies throughout the world where collaboration between industry as well as the telecoms, they have to be in the room, and the Department of Justice working together through administrative site blockings or through an IWL, which is an infringing website list, where we work with the advertising fraternity. And there are solutions in place, but we need that. Most important, so that came out of this meeting today, we need the states, because at the end of the day, the choking points, the state police departments have to be in the room, because without the states, any anti-piracy policy that comes from the center will not be implemented because at the end of the day, the last mile is the local state police. So that's a big takeaway. So we also request the government in many bilaterals to kind of please bring up, because once upon a time, I remember when the market was opening and Ambassador Carla Hills used to come to India, Super 301 was the big threat for all of us because we were a highly pirated market. Today, Indian content is pirated in America. Today, Indian content is pirated in many other markets in Europe. Okay, and I think in the bilaterals, we need to bring this up. And I'll give you a small figure later on as the kind of potential that we have. The National E-commerce Policy has a chapter on piracy, but we need to kind of look at it even more finely of trying to kind of block these pirated websites and these apps. So job creation, I'll give you a small anecdote. 40 million people are employed in the Chinese market in the music ecosystem. 40 million, be it celloists, be it soloists, or infrastructure provided. And it's a huge employment potential industry. We need to kind of have music as a subject, or 40 million in China. That's a report that has been published. We need to have...
Must be the Chinese report.
No, sir, it's an audited report. It's an audited report by the IFPI, which is the global nodal agency for the music industry. Important things, they have 300 universities which probably give you a music course. And if that can be inculcated in our ecosystem for education, through the NCRTs, through the NGOs, to the certs, we probably can stimulate that market as entertainment in various forms, be it acting, script writing, cameramen, or technology. It could be a huge employment generator and will give it the entire industry a huge uplift. As I said, job creation, this is an important recommendation for our industry. Lastly, sir, STEM was the big talking point. We would like to add the A. STEM is out, STEAM is in, and A is the arts. So today, Apple without the A is nothing. Today, Netflix without the A is nothing. So the A has to be integrated into the curriculum. Thank you. Lastly, sir, we also would like to, there is a huge opportunity given our demographic dividends of creating these multi-purpose centers throughout India. Today you have in London the O2 venue, you have Madison Square Garden in New York, you have the Staples Center in Los Angeles, you have the Esplanade in Singapore. These companies like AEG are looking at India. What we need is a direction and a policy recommendation from the center telling the states to look at this sector. Employment generation, infrastructure, everything comes under this, sir. As a result, the important thing with this, if this can be opened up, we have a number of stadia belonging to the cricket, BCCI, Sports Authority of India, Indian Hockey Federations, which are lying idle for most of the year. And we could use a couple of models in the United Kingdoms where cricket stadiums are now becoming multi-purpose venues. So that's another great opportunity that we have. Lastly, in terms of exports, as per the MEA, the number was just out recently. There are 31 million Indians in the United States. If we can get $1 per month from each of them and multiply by 12, I think that could be a huge potential. These are tech-savvy Indians. As per the Pew Center report, most of the Indians there are above the median age because they are into white-collar services. And if we can, and most of our piracy that happens in America because all the operators take umbrage under the Digital Act. So these are our recommendations, and thank you for your support. Thank you.
So that concludes our sample of services sectors. We have 3 quick presentations on the